Hello, welcome to a bit beyond the basics of immigration, relief from removal. Before I get into today's topic, I would recommend that you watch the video about removal and reasons to say stop that are found up in the series, The Basics of Immigration. If you understand those, it'll be easier to understand what I'm talking about right now. But if not, no problem, come along. As a quick review, we're going to talk about removal. We have a non-citizen, a non-United States citizen who the government thinks should be removed from the United States for whatever reason. That's not so important today. We have three parties here. We have the immigration court, immigration judge. We have the US government and the attorney who represents them. And we have the alien. Here they are in removal proceedings. The government is saying they're not a US citizen and they should be removed for the following reasons, whatever they are. There are a lot of things that could happen here. We talked about some of them before. Today, what I want to talk about are some of the things that the law allows that make it so someone who, in fact, might be removable, they actually have done one of the things that makes it so they need to be removed, why they might get relief from that and get to stay in the United States. We're not going to talk about everything, but I want you to know about a few of them just so you start to understand this concept. All right, here we go. The first one is one that we talked about previously. Someone, in fact, could be removable. Yes, I am removable. However, if you remove me to my home country, I could be persecuted on the basis of one of the protected classes. There were 5 protected classes, if you remember. So while they are in court, while they're in removal proceedings, they could say, please let me stay in the United States, even though I'm removable, because I fall under these categories that make me eligible for asylum, and the United States is under treaty obligation to grant asylum to people who are eligible for it. Similar to asylum, we have what's called withholding of removal. For our purposes today, it's the same thing. Eligibility is essentially the same. It's the protected classes and persecution from the government, or the government is unable to stop the persecution. So asylum or withholding of removal. If you're not familiar with asylum, I guess I should have said this at the beginning, you can go back and watch the segment about asylum and refugee status so you can understand a little bit more about that. The second category, and this is a very wide category, is what I'm going to call waivers. There are a lot of different provisions in our immigration law that say you are removable for X, Y, or Z, but you could potentially be eligible for a waiver. The government can choose to waive that ground of inadmissibility or deportability in order to let you stay if you meet certain criteria. So yes, you are removable, but because you meet this other criteria, the immigration judge can choose to waive that and allow you to stay in the country. You committed an immigration violation however many years ago. However, there is a waiver available for that for people who are spouses of US citizens or have a child who is a US citizen, or just because you're a good person and it's been 20 years since that happened, or whatever it is. There are different things that can be waived and different criteria to be able to waive it, but there are waivers. So I just want you to know that that's an aspect. We're not going to talk about all the waivers. The next category we are going to talk about, because it affects a fair amount of people, is called cancellation of removal. Cancellation of removal is a benefit that, again, is administered by the immigration judge. And it's when someone, again, is actually removable. They could be removed, but Congress has come in and said, under certain criteria, we'll cancel that removal and let you stay here. And I'm going to just put up some of these criteria, just really basic. If the alien has been in the United States for 10 or more years, or in the case of an LPR, there's some different years, that apply. We'll just say they've been here in the United States for a certain amount of time. They have good moral character. Remember, we've talked about that a few times. They have good moral character. And if they were removed from the country, there would be exceptional and extremely unusual hardship to their family. So different than other people and who their family is, their certain family members, and what extreme, exceptional, whatever the superlatives are, some kind of unusual hardship. There's a whole lot of law about what that means. But the basic idea is if we remove you, you have a family member who's here in the United States, who's a US citizen or an LPR, and it would be a hardship for them if you were removed. So if you've been here a certain amount of time, you've been a good person while you've been here, and your family would suffer in an unusual way, then you could be eligible for cancellation of removal and potentially receive that. There are other ways to get relief from removal, but these are just a few of them that I want to make you aware of. So when you hear people talk about them, or you know people that are in court and you're like, what are they talking about? You have at least some idea. These are just some of the things: asylum, waivers, cancellation of removal. All right, that's it for relief from removal.